Kevin McCarthy is with us this morning from Washington, D.C. Congressman, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
It's our pleasure. You've got a busy couple of weeks coming up, but Congressman, I want to ask you about a mid-June article that came out in the USA Today. On the front page of the USA Today, one of our nation's most prominent and well-known newspapers, it talked about a small deli that existed in Kern County and opened up about 30 years ago. It was called Kevin O's. Now, you opened that deli with $5,000 that you won in the state lottery. Did you ever think, when you opened that deli, that it would one day be mentioned on the front page of the USA Today?
No, I just went out. I got lucky. I bought a ticket the second day the lottery started to Foodtown Market in River Boulevard, won $5,000, invested a little in the stock market, and took that money out, took time out of going to Bakersfield College and opened a deli on Stein and Plans. But all those lessons I learned from that small business, still with me today. You're the first one into work, last one to leave, and last one to be paid. But I was successful enough, I earned enough money that I could pay my way through college without working, and it's a great experience I never forget. I love the entrepreneurship.
And I know your dad was a firefighter, your parents were Democrats. I imagine this probably helped shape your views as a Republican as well. But I'd like to talk about your service in Congress. You've been in Congress now for just over 7 years. Now, you don't really have any landmark legislation to your name. According to a recent article by the Huffington Post, you've got 2 bills that you've sort of led the way on, and that's one to rename a post office here, and then another one that has to do with the NASA Flight Research Center at Edwards Air Force Base. Now, some critics are calling you too inexperienced for this prominent role in the House. What do you say to critics?
Well, I say you can judge me whatever they want to in the process, but every bill, being a majority whip, I have my finger in. So I've been a part of everything. I'm not one who believes you have to have your name to get the credit, and getting the credit is not the most important thing in my life. Getting the job done is more important. And you get elected leader by your peers, and I think they're a pretty good judge of knowing what my capabilities are.
You will be the least experienced majority leader when you take office on July 31st. Eric Cantor, who will be your predecessor. I know that you and he are close in the House. Why did Eric Cantor lose? In about 15 seconds, what happened in Virginia? Was he neglecting his district, as some people say?
Well, all politics are local. There's a lot of reasons, but the power rests with the people. They make a decision at the end of the day, and they made a decision they wanted to go another direction. You'd have to talk to Eric and have to talk to the constituents to understand why he lost, but I always believe the district has the power, and the power rests with the people.
Okay, extreme gridlock in Washington seems to be an issue. You are a Republican, of course. Our president is a Democrat. How's your working relationship with the president? Will you be able to work with him? And is he really the problem, or is the problem more Harry Reid?
Well, I can work with anyone that wants to work to solve a problem. I think the biggest problem that I have found in Washington happens to be Harry Reid. There are 294 bills, 294, that have passed the House that sit in the Senate that they won't even bring up for a vote. And it's not just me or Republicans who complain. Democrat senators are now complaining. If you look at Senator Chris Murphy, he said he had more substance when he was in the minority in the House than he does in the majority in the Senate. Manchin, a Democrat senator from West Virginia, he's complaining about it. Everyone's beginning to see this. The House has actually worked a great deal amount and passed many bills, and the Senate won't even bring them up for a vote.
Congressman, your own words, we have a humanitarian crisis right now at the border in California and in Texas. That border stretches 1,200 miles. You say that you will not pass any sort of immigration reform until we fix the borders. Now, this has sort of been a crutch phrase for you for a while now. What do you actually mean when you say fix the borders? Do you mean you and I go down there and build fences? I mean, voters in this district want to know what that means and would like you, quite frankly, to go deeper.
Well, you know exactly what that means, that you don't see people easily walking just across a border. I mean, if fences didn't protect you, why do we have them around the White House? Why do we put fences up in other locations to protect? What I have found, there's numerous problems. The first problem is the president changing of the law. That the president says if you enter the country illegally and you're a minor, that you can stay here. So now we have 3 countries in Central America coming up through Mexico, sending their children. And you're sending your children through countries, paying a coyote to bring them through, and coming into America in hopes that because they believe this is what happens, you become a citizen?
Right.
that has got to stop. The president can act right now to make that stop. And you know what? We're a country of immigrants. We're a country of rule of law. And if you break down the rule of law, you will break down society. But the other thing, look at what the president did just recently. He put a new national monument in New Mexico, right along the border. But you know inside there what he said? That the Border Patrol could not use motorized vehicles inside the national monument. So now we're going back to 19th century and the 21st century on how we're going to protect our own borders?
Congressman, you are going to be in a position of leadership in the House, though. I mean, you know, you say on your website, first and foremost, a California congressman. Your district feels very strongly about this. I want to bring up a New York Times article that just came out that talks about California's Hispanic population. Apparently, they vote in extremely low numbers. I think you're probably aware of this. Critics say this is exactly why you fail to acknowledge their situation by taking action in a leadership position, because, quite frankly, they don't vote. Now, your office has seen a lot of protests recently, to the point where you've had to lock your office doors here in Bakersfield, something you don't see a lot of congressmen do. And I don't think that's something that you would want to get out there. Now, are you ignoring your constituents?
No, I don't think anybody in my district thinks I ignore my constituents. I think you personally know where you see me all around the district. I'll be home in the district tonight. I go home every single weekend. The difficulty that you also see, and your viewers understand, is when people come and protest, and many of them are not constituents, come into my office with bullhorns and sounds. They do not allow the work to be done for the veterans that we're working on, for the Social Security, for the IRS problems people are having, and then they overtake the office and they won't leave it. These same individuals came to my house even last week, protested,
Right.
pounded on the doors, taking pictures inside of my daughter's bedroom, pounding when it's just my wife and daughter in the house.
Right.
But do you see me complaining about it or reading in there? No. I think the best way to solve a problem is to sit down and find a solution. And I have been very clear and concise, and let me be one more time with all your viewers. If we don't protect the borders and secure the borders, we cannot do anything else. And right now, the borders are not secure. And I don't think anybody in America would disagree with saying the borders are not secure. And if you cannot protect your borders, how can you do anything else? You'll perpetuate the problem.
Right, and it's certainly not appropriate for people to go to your private home. This district, of course, is dependent on that immigrant farm labor.
They scratch my car with their signs. They sit inside the yard yelling at my wife and daughter. How is that solving a problem coming up from Los Angeles?
Congressman, I'd like to
meet
pivot
with people all the time.
if we could pivot just for a second. We have one sort of fun thing to do with you here. We're calling it 10 questions with Kevin McCarthy, and basically in a sort of rapid fire fashion, we're going to ask you 10 quick questions. If we could get your answers, that would be perfect. Our first question, number 10, your favorite sandwich shop in the city of Bakersfield?
Alive today, it was Kevin O's to start out with.
And today, what would you say of today?
Sequoia.
Sequoia, okay. Favorite California sports team?
LA Dodgers.
Los Angeles Dodgers. Should the Redskins change their name?
I think they have a choice within there. I always leave it up to the individuals to pick.
Yes or no on that, Congressman?
I let the owner of the team has the right to decide what he wants it to be, and those who want to come to the game have a right to decide whether they want to buy the ticket or not.
Okay, this is a quote that we've heard you say before. If I could kill one member of Congress, I wouldn't ever have to worry about another vote. Who would you most like to kill in Congress?
I would not kill anybody in Congress. I was quoting off the House of Cards.
Okay, favorite airline to fly? You make a lot of trips across the country.
I fly United.
United. Boxers or briefs, Congressman?
I wear briefs.
Favorite House Republican?
Favorite House Republican?
Yep.
I'm a very big fan of Trey Gowdy, but I love them all.
Okay, favorite House Democrat?
I'm a big fan of Tulsi out of Hawaii, and also Joe Kennedy.
Joe Kennedy, the young congressman, first-term freshman congressman from Massachusetts.
And also Tulsi out of Hawaii.
Favorite series on Netflix? Not a trick question.
Oh, on Netflix?
Yep.
What did I watch on Netflix last? I'm a big fan of Game of Thrones, and that's what I watch.
That's an HBO show, Game of Thrones. Netflix features your House of Cards with that Democratic whip.
I have watched House of Cards, yes.
Okay, all right, final question, Congressman. Did you sleep on your couch last night?
Yes, I did.
Is that going to change? I don't know if we can have a House Majority Leader sleeping on his couch while he's in Washington.
Well, you know what? I'm not going to change who I am. I don't want to become Washington. I don't want to be comfortable back in Washington. I'm going to go home every weekend. And if I sleep on my couch, that means every hour I'm back here, I'm working for my constituents. And when I wake up in the morning, I've said this before, this is what I think about in every piece of legislation. Jim Balmain is already up. I know you're up early, but he's already up early baking donuts at Smith's Bakeries. He's a small business owner. How does this legislation affect him to continue on his job and hire more people? So I should do the same.
That is Congressman Kevin McCarthy. Congressman, we want to thank you so much for your time this morning. Good luck on July 31st and moving forward.
Thanks for having me.